Thanks so much for being with us here on Atlanta News First Plus. I'm Joy Limnacker, and taking a look at some of the top stories that we're following right now. I want to show you the top story that we have on AtlantaNewsFirst.com right now, which is a crash that actually turned deadly. And this is just near the Atlanta airport on the I-285 ramp there. You can read the full article on AtlantaNewsFirst.com. I just want to point that out to you. But again, it was one person who was killed in this crash along I-285 in Fulton County this morning, according to GDOT. And a car apparently overturned on that ramp from the I-285 east to the 85 north connection near Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airports. Two left lanes had been blocked. There were delays in that area. Drivers encouraged to use alternate routes and avoid delays and just kind of give first responders and crews their space to deal with this. And it's something that, of course, we're going to continue to follow. Best thing to do to stay up to date is download our free app, and you can get updates sent right to your phone. We're also following the latest with Tropical Storm Debby as well, and it has brought historic flooding to the Georgia coast and really beyond that as well. It's been slowly making its way to South Carolina, or really across the South Carolina coast. Apologize, I was trying to get a graphic up here. And you know, the storm even spun up a tornado in one part of South Carolina. In Savannah, which is, you're looking at some of the video from Savannah, more rain's expected today. It's already flooded so badly that rescuers had to save someone who was stranded in a car as well. Let me show you that footage if we can. And really scenes of destruction and devastation. So you see that rescue underway in Savannah. So we have crews on the ground both in Georgia and the South Carolina coast. Let's get to Atlanta News First reporter Madeline Montgomery in Charleston with a look at how that historic city got through the storm.
We're standing here at the Battery, a historic seawall in Charleston, and the water has actually been getting so high. It's been coming over this 12-foot seawall here, splashing over the top of it. And this is an area that is known for flooding here in Charleston. That is because this whole part of the city was actually built up of oyster shells way back in the 17 and 1800s. So it's a super low-lying area, very prone to flooding. That's why you're already seeing these road closed signs. This whole section, the city is just not going to risk it when it comes to cars trying to drive down here once the flooding starts. So they have these signs secured with the sandbags because of the intense wind that is whipping out in this area and because of the water they are expecting. And you can already see water starting to settle down on the ground here. Now, this area is known for the beautiful historical homes that sit out here, and they're just used to the flooding that takes place. So a lot of them already have sandbags surrounding them. And we actually had the chance to speak with a group that was out and about, and they said it was honestly ominous seeing all of the houses and businesses shut down just preparing for the storm.
I've never seen anything like this. All the lights of the houses are off, and then you got like sandbags next to the doors. I literally feel like I'm like in a Last of Us, like apocalyptic movie type thing. It's actually, that part's kind of freaky, I'm not gonna lie.
We will be sticking in Charleston throughout the morning, throughout the day, keeping you updated with what Debby brings. For now, reporting in Charleston, I'm Madeline Montgomery, Atlanta News First.
And thanks so much to Madeline for that report. Another story that we are following, and really a shock to so many, the leader of Georgia's aquarium has died unexpectedly. It's Georgia's tourism community that's really hit hard by this, remembering the leader of what is really a world-renowned Atlanta landmark at this point. It's president and CEO of the Georgia Aquarium, Dr. Brian Davis, and there are condolences starting to pour in for him. Atlanta News First Don Shipman is downtown outside the aquarium with more.
Definitely a big loss here in the tourism industry here in Georgia. Dr. Davis was one of the first employees here at the aquarium before it even opened to the public in 2005. And then 4 years ago, he took that top post. Definitely a big loss for the tourism industry here in Georgia. Dr. Davis was actually one of the first employees here at the aquarium before it even opened in 2005. He took the top post 4 years ago. Those condolences, of course, coming in, including from Georgia's governor right here. The Georgia Aquarium sharing the news of his sudden death on their Facebook page. Davis joining the aquarium in 2003 as its director of education. Once the aquarium officially opened to the public in 2005, he worked on and off at this tourist destination here in Atlanta before becoming its executive vice president in 2018, then CEO in 2020. In the aquarium's social media post, they said that Davis leaves behind a tremendous imprint on the education and zoological fields. They also noted his dedication to creating a caring and diverse space at the aquarium. Governor Brian Kemp sending out condolences. In a statement, he writes in part, Brian was a strong and valued advocate of marine life and rehabilitation and was instrumental in the growth and success of the Georgia Aquarium. He goes on to send his condolences to the staff and to his family. Now, the aquarium did not announce a cause of death, but they did warn that there may be limited access to the aquarium in the coming days here as their staff continues to mourn this great loss. We're outside the Georgia Aquarium downtown. Don Shipman, Atlanta News First.
Thanks so much to Don for that report. We also are continuing to keep our eyes on the historic YSL trial. A lot of questions, a lot of suspense, a lot of people wondering, is this trial going to move forward? Because there have been motions for mistrial, right? And we're on the third judge in this case. That's Judge Earl Glanville, who has since been removed. And there was a second judge appointed who recused herself. And now we're on the third judge. Well, also questions about whether a key witness is going to testify against rapper Young Thug. Atlanta News First Asia Wilson reports from the Fulton County Courthouse.
Superior Court judge met with the prosecution's key witness, Kenneth Copeland, also known as Little Woody, to see if he will testify if the trial moves on. This as the judge still has to decide on some big motions, including a mistrial motion. Judge Paige Reese Whitaker is still considering two big motions in this case. Both motions from defense attorneys reference the June 10th private meeting involving Copeland, prosecutors, and Judge Earl Glanville, who has been removed from the case. The motions allege prosecutors attempted to coerce Copeland into testifying. The judge called Copeland into the courtroom so that they could explain the immunity order and the consequences should he decide not to testify. Judge Whitaker later asked Copeland, will he in fact testify if the trial moves on? Take a listen at what he said.
When they're like, all right, we're calling Kenneth Copeland, are you going to say, okay, ask me what you want to ask me, I'll tell you whatever I'm going to tell you? Or are you going to say, nope, I don't care if you throw me in jail, I'm not saying a word, I am not getting on the stand?
It depends on how I wake up.
Okay.
Now, if Copeland plans to testify is still up in the air. Meanwhile, the judge has given the state until Friday to respond to one, if not more, of those big motions. Court resumes today. In downtown Atlanta, Asia Wilson, Atlanta News First.
Thanks so much to Asia for that report. Want to then turn our attention to Tropical Storm Debby. And we have First Alert meteorologist Courtney Jacobazzi. I know you've been so busy tracking this. And thankfully, it hasn't been a major impact in Metro Atlanta.
Right, which is great because obviously a very different story to our neighbors along the coast and in the coastal Carolinas. And for the Georgia coastline, their impacts, the worst impacts are now over. And now our focus kind of shifts more so to the Carolina coastline as Debby continues to move up to the north. So here is a look at the futurecast model for the next couple of days. We're going to talk about where this storm is going and then what very, very, very minimal impact we could receive from Debby as Debby makes its way through the southeast. So here's a look at 10 o'clock this morning. So just about now, the storm's still floating off the coast about 50 miles or so southeast of Charleston, South Carolina. And over the next several hours, it's going to very slowly drift off to the north and then eventually start to make that turn to the west. So something that we will be watching very carefully as I try to update something for you very quickly. But nonetheless, we are going to watch Debby as she continues to swirl off the coast. Let's take you forward in time now. So as you make your way into 5 o'clock tonight, it's really difficult to see, but you might notice a green speck north of Atlanta, and I'll kind of give you the full picture there because it's easier to see. But that is what we're going to watch for as we head into the coming hours. Just an isolated shower, mainly east of Atlanta. And notice, even along the coast and in East Georgia, some extra cloud cover, maybe a few showers. But the places like Savannah, Brunswick, they're only expected to pick up maybe an additional ½ inch to 2 inches of rain as the storm continues to move up. Notice Charleston all the way up to Raleigh, though. They are getting the brunt of this storm, tropical storm force winds, flooding, and also at least some low-end storm surge along the coast of North and South Carolina. Going into Thursday, notice on the backside of this storm how there's a lot of sunshine in Atlanta. Essentially what a tropical system is it's an area of low pressure. And just like anything in this world, you need balance. And so when you have an area of low pressure, you're naturally going to have an area of high pressure on the other side of it. But in the terms of a hurricane, the important part about it being an area of low pressure is that in low pressure, since you're not having a lot of pressure pushing down, you get rising motion. Well, on the backside of these storms, to kind of counteract that, you get sinking air. And sinking air not only warms, but it creates a lot of sunshine. So that's what you'll see on the backside of these storms. And that's what you're going to see today. I forgot I'm backwards. That's what you're going to see today with Debby. So today and tomorrow, as the storm moves north and we're on that backside where you get sinking air, we're going to see a lot of sunshine and we're going to have ultimately a very warm day. Speaking of warm, we've had a lot of 90-degree days so far. In fact, we have surpassed our yearly normal. So far, we've had 45, 90-plus degree days. And when it comes to having 95-degree days or higher, or warmer, I should say, we've had 14 days of that. So a very steamy last couple of months. The month of, June? I think most of that month we were in the 90s. Here's a look at the high temperatures today. So we'll add on to that today. Temperatures will climb into the low to mid 90s, upper 90s for far west Georgia. So going to be a very hot day. Not only that, but it is going to be humid, so it will feel hotter than that. We don't have heat advisory criteria today, but it will feel more like the triple digits as we head through the afternoon. Notice by your lunch hour, feeling like the mid 90s, and then feeling more like the triple digits through the heat of the day today. So as the kids are getting on the bus, heading home from school, make sure you're giving them plenty of water, not only today when they get home, but also send them to school with plenty of water the next couple of days. If you have any evening plans tonight, the Braves are at Truist tonight. If you have any dinner plans, any after school sport activities, just know it's going to be a pretty hot and humid one out there. When it comes to the wind, it will still be a little breezy, which will hopefully help cut the heat just a little bit. I know any breeze and any shade really helps with the weather that we've had the last couple of days. So we will have wind gusts 10 to 15 with some isolated gusts the further east you go, upwards of 20 to 25. So closer to that center of circulation that you get at, even though it's offshore, it'll start to move inland. That's where you are going to have the higher gusts. You see the purple color, that's more so like 30 to 35 mile per hour gusts. Going into tomorrow, as Debby is starting to move back inland in the Carolinas, we will have some slightly higher wind gusts with wind gusts 18 to 25 for the day tomorrow. High temperatures tomorrow will climb into the low 90s, so we're going to keep our 90-degree days going here. Touch cooler tomorrow, but still plenty humid, so it will feel hotter. Heading into the weekend, Debby will become essentially a remnant low and ride up into the northeast. And behind that, we'll continue to get that sinking air, and it'll work in tandem with a cold front to not only bring dry conditions with sunshine, but also some slightly lower humidity. On the backside of these hurricanes and tropical systems, you get something we call subsidence, and that's sinking air, and that just brings in that drier air. And we're lucky enough to have it work in tandem with that cold front to really bring a beautiful forecast. Now, the humidity doesn't look like it's going to drop off quite as much as we originally thought, but it'll drop off enough to be noticeable, and it'll be a lot more comfortable. It'll start to drop Saturday night, and then Sunday from start to finish will just be a really, really nice day. With some of us waking up in the mid-60s in downtown Atlanta, closer to 70 degrees, with temperatures in the low 90s both days, a little cooler on Sunday. Let's talk about the latest on Tropical Storm Debby really quick. Haven't talked about the latest forecast cone. We will get another one within about 45 minutes or so. It is moving a little quicker, so it's expected to move inland tonight or through the overnight hours, and then it will start to move into North Carolina as we head into Thursday night. And then it's going to quickly get caught up in the jet stream and move very, very quickly up the northeast. So not going to have a huge impact on the northeast from places like northern like New York all the way up into Maine. Not necessarily going to have a huge impact from this system. It'll get a little breezy there for them. They'll get some rain, but nothing substantial from this storm there. But either way, going to move very quickly out and then finally give a break to parts of the Carolinas in the coming days. Here's a look at the rainfall totals. So as I mentioned, Savannah's pretty much done with the worst of it, and parts of coastal Georgia, maybe an extra half an inch to an inch of rain. The highest rainfall totals will be in the Carolinas, and this might even be on the lower end. Parts of North Carolina, though, could pick up an additional 10 to 15 inches of rain. And by the time it's all said and done, parts of the coastal Carolinas could pick up upwards of 20 to 25 inches of rain in total. So a lot of rain. I think the last time they had rain like that was with Florence several years ago. Here's a look at the 7-day forecast. So again, maybe an isolated shower as Debby hangs off the coast and starts to move north. We'll have the chance for maybe a wraparound shower, but for the most part, we're dry. Temperatures in the mid 90s today, upper 90s west of the city. So places like Rome, Dallas could end up in the mid to upper 90s today. And then we'll stay in the 90s for the foreseeable future. Our next best chance for rain beyond Thursday is going to be next Tuesday. So a primarily dry and hot forecast over the next 7 days with just a few chances for showers today, tomorrow, and then the best chance for rain returning next Tuesday. All right, everyone, I appreciate you spending time with us here on Atlanta News First Plus for your news and weather. Be sure to stay with us all day to get the updates on these stories, and the First Alert Weather app, a great tool to have to get the update on your forecast. Until then, make it a wonderful Wednesday. We'll catch you here next time.